Hello, everybody. Chris Hamilton here with salestipaday.com. And we're going to get started here in a couple of minutes. We are going live right now. I just got a couple other things I got to set up. I'm going to be streaming live on Facebook. And I'm just getting that going. Let's see if we got that going. Excellent. Hello, everybody on Facebook Live. I've got a link in there so you can watch the presentation. People that are watching this via my computer, I will be going here in a couple of minutes. We got a few people on the event page. We got a few people showing up on Facebook Live. Got a few people showing up on YouTube, and now I'm going to turn my Periscope on. So just bear with me for a sec. Excellent. Good to see that people are starting to show up. Dwight and Trudy, thanks for showing up. Trudy, I look forward to seeing you next week, I believe is when we're meeting. So for all of you that are watching right now, this webinar or this webcast is going to take roughly, it's about half an hour. This is the first time I've actually ever done this one. This started as a piece of content that I put up on my website, but I think it's extremely valuable, and I'm all about trying to help people get more out of LinkedIn on a regular basis and all that fun stuff. There is quite a few slides in this today, so you'll have to bear with me and watch it. There's a lot of information. If you've got a pad of paper beside you, that will help. The other thing too, if you have any questions, you can text them to me. I'm going to put it in the chat box window. So let's go. Text questions to 403-630-1243. There we go. So there we go. If you want to text any questions to me, you can text them to 403-630-1243. And we will go from there. We're about a minute away. Grab a coffee if you've got one. I'm going to take a quick drink of my coffee. And we'll be ready to go here in a second. And let's see here. Just bear with me. Got to write something in my Facebook live stream. There we go. So I've got that going. I'm going to watch my questions that come in. Can we get a copy of the presentation? If you've signed up, sure, I can send you a copy, or else just reach out to me, chris@salestipaday.com, and I will get you a copy of the presentation. I'll also send out potentially a webinar replay. Okay, so we're at 9 o'clock my time. We are going to get started on this right now. I just want to make sure that everyone can see it. That's great. Here we go. So this thing, it started out, as I say, it started out as a blog post that I did, which was a LinkedIn hack. It's the secret to getting 5 times more responses from prospects. And it's like basically how to get the sales 60% of the time compared to your competition. Hey, Henry, how's it going? Good to see that you showed up. Today, what I'm going to show you how to get a 5 times greater response rate from your LinkedIn prospects. I'm going to show you how to increase the likelihood that 60% of your LinkedIn prospects, when I say prospects, I mean sales prospects, people that you're connected to on LinkedIn, get them to buy from you when they are looking for your product or service. I'm going to show you how to identify an ideal prospect, and I'm going to show you how to put your LinkedIn, kind of this lead nurturing process, into autopilot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this works and how it's it'll reduce the time that it takes if you start putting this in autopilot. And when I say autopilot, there's a little bit of work that you have to do, but not a heck of a lot. But it'll reduce your lead nurturing by about 30-fold. So anyone who knows me understands that I like to hack a lot of stuff and make things work more efficiently. One other thing I'm going to show in here is just kind of a real world example of this process that I use and how it's going to generate tens of thousands of dollars of recurring revenue for me on an annual basis. So I'll get to that at the very end. So where do I come up with these numbers about getting a LinkedIn prospect to engage with you 5 times more, be 5 times more likely, and also get 60% of the sales? This is information that comes directly from LinkedIn. LinkedIn, ever since they were bought out by Microsoft, have been doing more of a push to make it more of a sales type. In my opinion, more of a sales type tool for individuals to use. But this was a report that LinkedIn did just before they got bought by Microsoft. And one of the things that they're saying is that sellers who reach out to prospects with relevant insights about their business are nearly 5 times more likely to get a response than sellers that reach out cold. So when you think about this for a sec, if you're reaching out to people with valuable information, like, let me show you how you can run your business quicker, let me show you how you can do this better, let me show you how you can get more profit, let me show you how you can reduce your costs, without being salesy, 5 times greater response rate. The other thing too is that their research showed that 6 out of 10 business-to-business buyers who choose a vendor, it's the one who is providing them with the best mix of content at each stage in their purchasing process. So just remember those 2 facts right there. Those are key and critical to this presentation here today. The other one too is engaging prospects with insights. So nearly 64% of B2B buyers or business-to-business buyers report that they appreciate hearing from a salesperson who provides knowledge or insight about their business. So once again, these 3 facts and figures tie together. So today, as I said, I'm going to show you how to show you, my LinkedIn autopilot prospecting prospect nurturing process. That's a mouthful. But I'm going to do some background on this first, just to show you some things. So first thing you really need to do is, I always tell people, connect with people that you go and see. If you're in sales meetings, you need to be looking at potentially reaching out to people on LinkedIn and connecting with them as well. You need to grow your network on LinkedIn. I've got about 4,000 people I'm connected to on LinkedIn, which is, in the grand scheme of things, isn't a huge number, but a lot of people look at it and go, that's a pretty big number. I actually keep in contact with roughly 50% of those people on a fairly consistent basis. So fairly consistent being kind of every 30, 60, 90 days, on a regular basis with these individuals. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how you can find your ideal target prospects, sales prospects that you want to go after. So when you're in LinkedIn, on the main screen, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a search bar. When you click or put your mouse in there and click on it, down at the very bottom, it says search for people with filters. And it takes you to a page where you can search on people. And the stuff that you want to do, you could put a name up here or a title of a person. But the other thing too is using the search capabilities down the side here. So once you start using these search capabilities, it allows you to start laser focusing in on better prospects. One of the reasons why I would also use this is that the vast majority of people on LinkedIn are using a free account. A free account, you only get to see 100 results come back. I've got a premium account, so I get to see 1,000 results come back. But on a free account, you only get to see 100 coming back. And then the other thing too is that at a certain point in time in the month, LinkedIn cuts you off from looking at this anymore, trying to move you towards a premium account. So you got to be laser focused on the results that you're trying to get into. So I'll show you kind of all this stuff, but just really quickly, if you could see it, and it might be kind of a bit of a Hubble vision down the side here, but connections, keywords, connections of, locations, current companies, past companies, industries, and profile language. The ones I use a lot are connections, locations, and industries are the main ones that I take a look into. Other ones occasionally are, did I say locations? I think I said locations. Current companies and past companies I also look into as well. So I'll show you an example here. Let's say that I was looking for controllers at a second level in Calgary in the oil and gas industry. So why I pick second level, first level are people that I'm connected to. Second level are people that I'm connected to that's connected to somebody. You could also pick third level if you want, but in a free account, when you click the third level, I believe you cannot see the person's name. So it really does, it's got almost no relevance there. Someone may have to correct me on that. And the reason being is because I haven't used a free account in years on LinkedIn. So I don't know whether that's the case or not. But in this case, you know, what you do is you go in and you find controllers at a second level in Calgary in the oil and gas industry. The reason why I do that, I've got an accounts payable and accounts receivable software company that I'm a part owner of. That's a target demographic for me to go after these people. So what I want to do is I want to be able to find these people. I want to be able to reach out and connect with them. And then what I want to do is I want to be able to start sending them relevant information so that I could start building a relationship with them online. So when I click that, I end up getting the results coming back, and you'll see the results. You know what the results look like, obviously. But in this case, when you click on a person, so in this case, I clicked on Pat's profile. If I want to connect with Pat, first thing I do is I hit that connect button. This isn't rocket science. I think most people on LinkedIn understand this process. Then what you do is you go in, and first thing I wouldn't do is hit send now. And there's a couple of things. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things. One thing that drives me nuts about LinkedIn's mobile app is that if you click connect, it just sends a generic message off to them. You can't send a message with your own information in there. So what you want to do is you want to be able to go online, go on your desktop, and then click add a note. So you click add a note. Then what you need to do is Window's going to pop up and it says include your personal message. You need to add a reason why you want to connect with this person or why they want to connect with you and send an invitation. Here's the other thing too that many people fail at. I mean, I would say 99% of the people fail at, and quite honestly, I've done a brutal job of this recently. But when someone connects with you, send them a thanks for connecting message, and that you hope they don't mind if you keep in contact with them. The reason why you want to do this starts to set the groundwork for reaching out to this person on a regular basis. Nothing worse than connecting with someone and doing nothing with that connection after the fact. You have to stay in contact with that person on a fairly consistent basis. It's just like anything. If you're trying to build a relationship with anybody, be it business, be it personal, you do have to stay in contact with that person. So here's kind of how you end up sending or being able to send the message to someone with your more recent connections on LinkedIn. So once again, if you're in kind of that main page, click on My Network. And then what happens is it's going to pull up all the people that you're connected to. Click the See All over here. So you've got your connections over here. Click See All. And then what that does is you can sort it by recently added. So you can see the most recent connection person that you connected with all the way down to, you know, the first person you connected with, obviously on LinkedIn. And then what you do is with that person is you click message. So what you do is you're clicking a message to that person. Here's a template that I would use to connect with that person. It's like person's name. So let's just take a look. This first person, Carol Ann. Carol Ann, thank you for connecting on LinkedIn. Can you please let me know how I can help you in any way? Now, the reason why you want to put a line in like that is it's not you're asking for anything. It's like, hey, how can I help you? Who doesn't like being helped? Also, I don't believe in connecting just to grow my LinkedIn connection count. I believe in helping people and keeping in contact. And as such, you will hear from me periodically. Have a great day, and then put your name in there. My name would be Chris. That would be a quick, simple little message. What I do is, I haven't done this in about a month, but usually what I do is I go into LinkedIn Friday afternoons, like around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe a little earlier if I feel like skipping out for beer 30. Typically what I'll do is I'll just jump in and send this off. If I connect with 10 people, it's copy paste. It takes all of literally about, I'm going to say like 5 minutes to do something like this, but you're laying the groundwork. So that's the thing that you need to do. So Now, we've identified kind of targets that you want to go after, showed you how to reach out to them, how to lay the groundwork to keep in contact with them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to keep in contact with them on a consistent basis. So before I do this, I'm going to preface this with like LinkedIn. Hopefully they'll change this. They used to have kind of functionality in LinkedIn where it would set reminders for you to say, follow up with this person. So you follow up in like a day, in a week, in a month, or something, in a year, whatever it is. They did that. They took it out. Hopefully they'll put that back in. And I'm sure Microsoft is probably working on some of that sort of stuff right now to do that. But anyways, it's awful. It's an awful way to be able to keep up with someone. So you have to start looking at outside third-party stuff. And I'll get to that in a second here. So the first way, what happens is after you connect with someone, so like here's my buddy Mike Smiley. There's a couple of ways that you can reach out to Mike or your connections. First way would be send a message. So you click message down here and you put a message out. Hey, how's it going? Thought this little piece of information might be of use to you. Here's a link to my website, or the message will allow you to add a document, but I think it's only a Word document or a PDF or something like that. So you can't add a whole bunch of different documents, and they limit the size to, I think it's like a megabyte or something like that. It's really not that big. Here's the downfall also with sending messages this way is not a lot of people jump onto LinkedIn profile and check their messages out on a consistent basis. So a better way is going over to the right-hand side here. What you can do is there's something that says show more. It'll be up here. You just click on it, comes down. You could potentially get their phone number, and in all cases, you will get their email address. So you'll be, and I blocked it out here because I'm trying to protect Mike's information. But that's where you can get it. And then what you do is you copy that, send an email off to that person. Here's a second way that you can do this. Now, the problem with this too is also sending off. So you have to remember, when did I send an email off to this person? What did I do? So I'm going to start laying the groundwork for creating a process behind this as well. So the second way to keep in contact with your connections, instead of going through kind of one by one and grabbing their emails and doing all this stuff, LinkedIn's got this great little way to download all your prospects out of LinkedIn. Now, and if anyone's ever watched any of my webinars before, I recommend that you go into LinkedIn on a monthly basis or at least quarterly and download all your connections. Now, the reason being is I have a feeling LinkedIn's going to go the way of Facebook, where to have a Facebook account, you have to have an email address, but Facebook doesn't publicly display those email addresses. LinkedIn may go that way. These email addresses are golden for you. This way you can download your LinkedIn connections and have access to their emails. LinkedIn at some point in time may end up removing that functionality. So this is a way that you can at least have your connections linked in, their emails. So what you do is you go into the Me at the top of this bar on LinkedIn, click on it, hit privacies and settings. Then what you do is you've got, it brings you a page where it has account, privacy, and communications. As you scroll down in the little basics section here, it says get an archive of your data. So you can do one of two things. You can click fast file or fast file plus other data. Quite honestly, you probably only need the fast file. So select that and go request archive. And typically it says, it takes a bit of time. What I find is usually at about 10 to 15 minutes, LinkedIn will send you a note, and the note looks like this. It says your LinkedIn data archive file, fast file is ready for you. You can download it with this link, and you just click here and it'll take you back to this page and it'll allow you to download it. Now, when you download it, you have to go through, and there's a whole bunch of files in there. I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think it's connections that you go into. And what it does is it will bring in first name, last name, email address, the company, the position, and it'll show you when you connected with that person. Also, if you put tags against that person, it'll bring the tags in as well. So you end up with all these, you end up with all your connections, email addresses. So what I do is, depending on who it is, you can sort by title, you can sort by name, you can sort by whatever. You go through, create a column, and just put X's beside the people that might be deemed prospects for you. And then what you can do my recommendation is you clear out, you sort on that column where you've X'd the people, or you put denoted the people who are prospects. Sort on that, find the ones that aren't a prospect, and then what you do is you clear them out. Just get rid of the ones that aren't prospects. And then if you're using a client relationship management tool or Outlook or some sort of task system, if you have the ability to import this list, then I would do that. And then what you do is you create a reminder for yourself to send an email to this person. So for example, Craig Elias here, if I were going to do this with Craig, I would simply, I'd put it in my CRM system and have a note in there to follow up with him, say every 90 days or something like that. And I'll get into the follow-up process in a little bit here, but that's kind of the first way that, or the second way that you can do this. As I said before, so the biggest problem with LinkedIn is a lack of a mechanism for following up. So the first two mechanisms I gave you, one is kind of a one-by-one, going through, having to remember when you followed up with that person or sent them a message. The second one is putting more structure in place, which is downloading all your LinkedIn connections out of LinkedIn into an Excel file, and then uploading it into like a CRM like Salesforce or Insightly or something like that, or putting it into Outlook, whatever it is. That's putting more structure around it and allowing you to build out a follow-up process for these people, or a connection process for these people. Both of those are literally, they're free to do. Now, this one is going to cost money, the next option that I show you, but it is a fantastic way to do this. So the third way is to keep your contacts, this is the third way to keep in contact with your LinkedIn connections. I use a program, and some people may have seen me do a webinar on this. Contactually gets me to do these kind of once every quarter or once every half year for them. I use a program. It's like Contactually. In the vintage version, you're able to apply tags. I see there is a tag column. Can we apply tags? If so, yes. Sorry, someone sent me a message, so I'm just looking at if yes. How do we do that? So in LinkedIn, you can't apply tags anymore. They've taken that functionality out. If you have a CRM where you're updating or inputting information, depending on how you have it tagged in there, Lorena, you would put that tag against that person and import it that way. I kind of hope that answers your question. And all that good stuff. By the way, Lorena, I think I told you this. My parents live in Flathead. I was just down there last week, so there we go. Anyways, back to the webinar. And Lorena, if you have a question, you can always reach out to me afterwards, and we can go from there. Contactually is a CRM platform that makes it easy to follow up with your LinkedIn connections, and I use it religiously, literally every single day. I use this platform. And here's the first way that you can create a contact. So what you do is you go into their dashboard. There's a thing that says contacts up here. You click on contacts, you click create contact. Then what you do is you go back into the file here, your connections. You can copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And then what you do is you copy and you start putting a first name, last name, email address, a whole bunch of different things. And then you just basically go submit. And that's how you add a contact into Contactually. And from there, what you do is you create a contact, then you create what they call buckets. Now, buckets denote, or kind of like tags for individuals. And I've got like 34 different buckets that I use, but I literally only have 4 that I am managing at any given time. I've got what I call an A bucket, a B bucket, a C bucket, and then I've got LinkedIn connections. A buckets, what I do is you create a bucket, you call it an A bucket. It says, how often do you want to see this person or connect with this person or get a reminder? I put every 30 days. B buckets are every 60 days. C buckets are every 90 days. This isn't written in stone. You could do stuff that you want to do. If you're a realtor, you could have past buyer, current prospect, looking, not qualified type thing. You could do whatever you want in here with this sort of stuff. But the reason why I have like an A bucket are people that I want to be connecting with on a consistent basis. They're the ones that are going to be able to introduce me to the right people. There are people that I can help out and get into the right people, a bunch of different things. B buckets are people that are good, but I'm trying to move them to that A bucket and keep in contact with them. C are people that are just basically there, but it's not a high priority for me. And then I have a D bucket down here, which, I don't want this to sound bad, but it's people that I connect with from India or China or whatever that really I have no relationship with and don't see any relationship with. I put them in my D bucket. So so you create the contact, you create a bucket, you put that contact into a specific bucket. And then what happens is when they're in that bucket, you're going to be sent daily reminders to follow up with your LinkedIn connection. So in this case, I got Alexander Tobe, who's a LinkedIn connection. So I've got all these different buckets that this person's assigned to. And so I get sent reminders to follow up with people. And what I can do is, and I'll show you this in a couple of minutes, is I can create a follow-up mechanism where I just click a button here and I send them a message, hey, how you doing type thing, or I can put them into a program which will automate this for me. So here, I'm going to show you a faster way. Instead of adding people one by one into your LinkedIn connections, what I'm going to do is, it's almost the same thing that you did before. What I showed before is go into your LinkedIn profile, go up to me, go into the settings, once again, download this fast file, bring it in, get it downloaded, and then you've got this thing here. Same thing. What you do, go through, sort it on title, whatever you have to do, go through, pick out the prospects, remove all the contacts that you don't want in there, and then add a column in here somewhere that says, bucket column with your bucket name. So in this case, if you take a look at the people that I'm connecting with here, one of my buckets is called LinkedIn Connections. So LinkedIn Connections would be the tag that I put in here for any of these people that I'm connected with on LinkedIn. And then what you do is you go into LinkedIn, you go into Contactually, you hit Contacts, you hit Import, and then what it does, it brings you into a page and it says, this looks like a first name, this looks like a last name, this looks like an email address, this looks like a title, this looks like a bucket. If that's the way it shows up, then you just simply go yes, import, and it will import these people right into Contactually for you, and it'll put it into the bucket that you specify as well. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you my follow-up processes. So hopefully this is making sense. You're taking your LinkedIn connections, you're exporting them into an Excel spreadsheet, and you're uploading them into Contactually. Now, the reason why you're doing this, once again, is to create a follow-up mechanism with all these people. This follow-up mechanism is what's going to drive the ability to get 5 times greater response rate from sales prospects, and the 60% of those sales prospects on LinkedIn who are going to want to buy when they have a need, because you're sending them valuable, relevant information. So as I said before, one of the things that I do is every day, Contactually, I just go into the dashboard here, and it brings up all the people that I'm supposed to be following up with based on kind of where they are. So what I do is I hit that follow up button right there. So Steve Ibbotson, I would hit, follow up, right? It would bring it up into a screen that looks like this. And in here, it's an email. And what I could do is I could just, hey, Steve, how's it going? Just touching base with you. Is there anything that I can do to help you out? Whatever it is you want to put in there. There's a few things on this page that you can do. You can open this up in Gmail and send it. You can open it up in Outlook or Mac Mail. I've never used that. Don't care about that much. I can also see kind of when was the last time I was reaching out to this person and when. Then the other thing, I can click to see, did they open this message? Did they click on any hyperlinks that I put in there as well? And there is, if I have content, I can add certain pieces of content. There's a way to introduce people that you're connected to. You can attach a file. One of my favorite ones, though, is email templates. So what I'm going to show is, this is a collection of email templates. In Contactually, along the top, if you go to templates, you can create email templates. And what you can see here is, take a look at these numbers. So I've got a how can I help you out? I got a how are you doing type thing. Here's my open rates against these. Here's my click-through rates against these. And I also get a reply rate, whether they're replying back to me or not. But some of these rates are great. Like on this bookkeeping one, 2/3 opened it, almost 50% clicked on the link that I put in it. Same thing up here, how can I help you out? Almost 3/4 of the people are opening this. I can see the clicks. So I can create an email template. So you click on here, and what it does is it brings it up. You could name the template. If you have a goal for this template, you could put it in there. It's a message template. You put your subject line in here, and then you just build the body of the email in here. So that's saved as a template so that you don't have to send them over and over and over again. So in this case, when you hit follow up and you go in here and click email template, you'll see the template you have. You just click that template, it'll fill it out, hit send. So that saves you a ton of time right there. The other thing that Contactually has built out, which is phenomenal, is they have a templated one. So add from library. So if you click on that, it brings up a whole bunch of different segments that people are in. And Contactually they tell you they're a CRM based around real estate people, but it's not. It's, that's the angle they're going at, but it'll help anyone out. But they have all these different areas: small business owner, consulting, marketing, sales. They have all these wicked templates that are built out. So if you don't know what to do, you can go in here, you can click on this, you can take a look and see how is this going to help you. And you can actually add that to your template library. So that's kind of the first way, creating these templates and following up with people. The second way, and this is the way that I put everything on autopilot. So once again, I've basically taken a fire hose and made you guys drink from a fire hose as it wraps around this, but hopefully you're wrapping your mind around this, and I will send a replay of this so that you get a better understanding of how to do this again. Literally, we've shown why you want to keep in contact with people with these prospects, because you'll get more sales. It's fostering that relationship. I've showed you how to target and find the right people to go after on LinkedIn to be able to start connecting with them and building relationships. I've showed you how to set the groundwork to continually follow up with people. And I've also showed you, several methods here of how to follow up. This last one here, this is the whole reason why I pretty much use Contactually. And I haven't put this in here, but this one thing that I do here saves me about 160 to 200 hours of productivity time, or of time, each month, just by doing this. So pay attention. It's a bit detailed, but it's worthwhile listening to, because this will completely put everything on autopilot for you for your lead nurturing. So one of the things that's wonderful that's built into Contactually is they have this little programs button here, or this programs section. And what you can do is you can create programs that you put people into, and it will move them through an automated lead nurturing process. So the way you do this is you can click a program. They also have some that are already pre-built that you can look through, but I'll just show you, just create. You click create. And then what happens is you can first create a new program. And I didn't go through the steps on this, but you just create a new program, you name it, you do whatever it is, right? When someone gets added to a program, and I'll show you how to add them in a second here. What happens is, if you've created this thing and put a string of messages out in the future, then here's what happens. So in this case, with this personal new contact follow-up, what I do is I add a person to this program. What it does is it waits for 2 days, and then it sends an email to them. Then what it does is 30 days later, it sends another email that I've got, which is relevant information. Then waits 30 days, sends another one, waits 30 days, sends another one, waits 30 days, sends another. This has like 13 steps in it. This one alone will run for a full year for individuals and put them into this program. So this is literally a set it and forget it. When I meet somebody, I can put them into this program. And, once again, if they become a client, I can take them out of the program. It's easy enough to do that. So when you create a program, literally what you do is you create a program, then you have to go through and you add steps, right? So this part over here is like, how many days are you going to wait? I'm going to wait 30 days. I'm going to send a message. Here's the email template I'm going to use. Schedule it for this time. send it from this email account. The reason why it says email account, I've got like 3 or 4 email accounts that I have hooked up into my Contactually. I can track the opens, I can track the clicks. The other thing too is you can click this button. You probably can't see it. It says request approval before executing. If you have a step that would require you to do a manual intervention, that's what you would click there. And then you would get a reminder saying, hey, do you want to do this next step with this person? Yes or no type thing. You can also delay sends if people interact. And then long story short is you can remind yourself to follow up. You can send a message. You can create your own kind of custom task. You can add them to a bucket. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. Each step along the way, and I know this is a lot for you to take in, but it's super simple to do. And the other thing too is Contactually is awesome. They will show you how to do all this stuff and walk you through the process as well. One of the things that you do is just set this up and then you let it run. So once again, I'm going to go back to why do you want to do this? Is you want to keep in contact with people with meaningful information and insights. You're nearly 5 times more likely to get a response from a seller than those that reach out cold. So think about it this way, is if I send some relevant information out to someone and it catches their attention, they will contact me and say, hey, Chris, I saw this thing. It makes sense to me. I'm kind of interested in this. Can we talk? Right? I've got lots of people calling me on that sort of stuff as well. Then, once again, when someone starts to get into that buy mode, if you're selling them or if you're sending them information on an ongoing basis, once they hit that point where they're looking at, I'm looking for this service and, I believe Chris does this sort of thing. You know what? I'm going to go talk to Chris about this because he's showing me he's smart in this fashion. So that's what you do. Now, here's what you can do to send valuable insights to your individuals. Once again, you can send, if you're going to do a webinar, and I'm a big fan of webinars. If you're going to do a webinar, then basically that's one thing. White papers. You can create a white paper. Like I've created white papers that are like 1 and 2 pages long that kind of show a lot of valuable information really quick. You can do a checklist, whatever it is. If you're holding an event, if you got a blog post, that's great. If you've created content on your website, if you created videos, anything that creates kind of education and stuff. This is valuable insights that you send to individuals. So now I'm just going to show you really quick, how do you add someone to a program? So when you've got a LinkedIn connection or whoever it is, so Carmen Fawcett, for example. So Carmen was someone I reached out to like 2 years ago when I was helping a safety company get their software to the marketplace. And one of the things I noticed is I'd been connected to her, but I hadn't really connected with her that many times, like 4 times in about 2 years. So then what I decided to do was I built out a program that has 90-day touch points. And these 90-day touch points are, hey, we've been connected on LinkedIn for a while. Please let me know how I can help you get what you need to get done. 90 days later, it's like, hey, how you doing? Just checking in, seeing how things are going. 90 days later, I go back to how can I help you? 90 days after that, I go back to, and you get this. So you understand it's a 90-day touch point. So what I do with Carmen was I just scroll down on her page. So I look her up, go down here, scroll down, and I just basically go add to program, click 1 year, 90-day touch points. So this puts Carmen into this 90-day touch points for a 1 year. Now, one thing that I'm doing with this though, is I started this almost a year ago. I'm starting to build more emails out on the back end of this. So this thing's going to be like a 2 or 3 year touch point, but it's basically set it and forget it to reach out to these people. You would be surprised how many people reach out to you and say, hey, thanks for reaching out. Here's what here's what I do. This is, if any way you can help me out would be fantastic. By the way, what is it you do and how can I help you? Now, this is referral marketing at its greatest, right? Which is, if someone reaches out to me and says something like that, I go back to them and I say, hey, I own this accounts payable, accounts receivable software company that helps smaller businesses that are sitting on QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online, expedite that whole accounting process and get money in the door faster. If you know a small business that's using QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online, or wants to get paid faster, I would appreciate an introduction. And that's how you get people to start introducing you. So this long journey for the last 35 minutes is basically getting you to this point to create these kind of methodologies and processes that you go through. So I'm just going to show you really quick the ROI on 500 contacts. And why I use 500 contacts is I kind of try to stay in contact every 90 days with about 1,500 to 2,000 of my LinkedIn connections that I'm not connected to on a fairly regular basis. So I'm going to look at this kind of over a 6-month time frame. So if I were to send an email to each of these people, all 500 in 1 month, it's roughly going to take me 5 minutes. Even if I copy and paste and do this stuff, it's time consuming, right? It's going to be like 2,500 minutes, or basically it's going to take a quarter of a month each, a quarter of my time each month to do this sort of stuff. 225 hours over a 6-month period. So literally, it's a massive time commitment to try to keep in contact with these people. What I do is I say 8 hours of inputting the list. So this is you kind of going through, vetting stuff. This 8 hours, by the way, if you do it properly, you could get this down to about 30 minutes. Then what I say is each email that you create into a template, maybe 5 minutes to create this. You do 6 or so, there's 30 minutes in total, right? So anywhere from about 1 hour to about 8.5 hours to create this follow-up process, as opposed to, and that's kind of like once, and then I'm managing this process kind of 2-3 minutes a day, just putting people into that program, my programs on LinkedIn. So it's not a huge time commitment. 252 hours versus say 8.5 hours, that's 30 times more effective. You've gained 30 times, you're leveraging 30 times more efficiency. You're gaining back time. And the other thing that you're going to find is by doing this, you're going to have time to follow up with people and book more meetings. So let's just say, the average, if you're cold calling, for example, the average cold call is about 0.5% to about 2% success on cold calling. So on 500 connections in a month, if you're going to do that, and by the way, if you're cold calling, you're crazy. You're going to get 2 to 10 meetings based on these numbers. If I just do this process and people are following up, I'm going to get about a 5 times greater response rate. So once again, I'm going back to the stuff that LinkedIn said, which is a 5 times greater response rate by sending valuable information. That means if I'm getting 2 meetings to 10 meetings, I'm getting upwards of now 50 meetings, let's just simply say, with a 10% success rate as opposed to a 2% success rate. I'm getting 50 meetings. I'm booking way more meetings or interacting with way more people, closing way more business. I'm going to give you a real world example that happened to me. What day is this? Tuesday. It happened to me Thursday last week. I reached out to an individual here in Calgary who has a software company that plays in the oil and gas space. And Michael and I have been connected on LinkedIn for quite a while, but I haven't done a really good job of keeping in touch with him, and I really should have. So I put him into my LinkedIn program that simply says, hey, how can I help you out? Blah, 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 all this stuff, right? He phoned me up and he knew I did LinkedIn stuff. And for anyone out here, and Henry, I know you know this, and Trudy, I know you know this. I literally don't train, or I may do some training later in the year on LinkedIn, but I don't do any consulting or coaching on it anymore because I just don't have the cycle times. But he reached out and said, hey, do you do this? I said, no, but I got a couple things I can help you with to help you get clients. And then he goes, well, what are you doing? I said, well, look, I got this accounts payable. I got this accounts receivable software. Here's what it does, type thing. He says, oh my God, this solves a problem for my clients. And literally I have 15 to 20 clients that can use the software today, right? So I'm meeting with him tomorrow on this. This is going to generate, I'm roughly guessing, about up to $5K a month for me, or about $60,000 a year, but he's going to bring on more clients. This thing probably within a year is going to be about $10,000 to $12,000 monthly recurring revenue for my company, which is fantastic because that's just straight revenue I would have never had before. So this is a real world example where just keeping in contact with people, reaching out to them, is going to create a value for you and get you business as well. So here we are. We're getting down to the very end here. So look, here's what I would do. If you're going to send an email out, whether you use something like Contactually, and by the way, I got a special offer on Contactually at the very end here, but whether you're going to use Contactually or whether you're doing this on your own, make sure that you kind of have some sort of call to action in your email. A call to action is, for me, it's going to be, how can I help you out? Contact me, let me know how I can help you out. That's that kind of call to action for a person. You can also pick a certain percentage of your list to follow up with on a monthly basis, meaning pick up the phone and call them, right? And just reach out to them and just simply say, hey, I've been sending you relevant information on XYZ, or industry trends or whatever and stuff like that. I was wondering if I could sit down with you and explain to you how I help companies like yours increase their revenues by 30% by implementing just one simple thing or whatever your value prop is, right? I would say build out a 3-month email follow-up program. So that's like every 3 months, you're going to follow up with these people. Or if you want, try to follow up with them monthly, at least be 3 emails ahead of any given time when you're sending this stuff out. And then you can add the emails on a monthly basis. You can add new emails on a monthly basis to this program. The nice thing about Contactually, by the way, is that when you build out a program, if you put someone into that program, it starts them with that first email. So you may have people that are 6 emails into it. This one will start any new ones at the first email and walk them through that process. And then the other thing, add your new LinkedIn connections to your email program. And the one thing I didn't put in here, which I would highly recommend to people, is I would recommend that you reach out to reach out on LinkedIn on a daily, if not, or at the least a weekly basis, and try to find new prospects that you can connect with, because it's all about trying to grow your network and trying to help people that you're working with. So by the way, if you want to do a 14-day free trial of Contactually just to see if it'll work for you, go to contactually.com/invite/Chris H. Once again, another mouthful. Full disclosure, I do get a commission on this, but the fact is if I can show you how to save 100 hours, 160 hours a month, it is, you'd spend roughly $60 a month on something like this. I make $24 or something, or something off the first sale. It's not very much, but I'm giving you enough information to put time back on your plate. So I would highly recommend. This is a great program to use and leverage. I use it every single day, and Contactually has driven so many sales for me on a consistent basis. I highly, highly recommend it. So I'm leaving it up again, contactually.com/invite/Chris H. We'll get you that. They're also wonderful. When you sign up, they'll reach out to you and say, hey, how can we help you? Let me walk you through this, show you how to use the platform. And it's not that tough. It's pretty easy to use, actually. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, just look up Chris Hamilton, Calgary, and you should be able to connect with me. If you have any questions in regards to today, reach out to me, chris@salestipaday.com or at 403-630-1243. And we'll go from there. I'm going to leave this up here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pop over, see if I got any questions or anything. I am looking at, I got Darren Cunningham, I got Bill, and I got Max who joined. Thanks for joining, guys. I have no questions in the chat box. If anyone has any questions, they can ask me down there. I am just going to check on LinkedIn as well, or on the Google Hangout. And it looks like nothing is there. And I'm not checking Periscope because people come and go off that all the time. So if no one has any more questions, feel free to reach out to me after the webinar at this number here or this email address here. Once again, I highly recommend try Contactually out. It will save you a ton of time and make you way more productive. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I greatly appreciate it. I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next webinar. I don't know when that'll be. Well, I've got one in the beginning of November, but I probably will do another one later on in the month as well around something else. I don't know. I have to figure out something else to do. Anyways, thanks everyone. And you have yourself a spectacular day.